see a side of her nobody else does. Curiosity got the better of me this morning. I looked inside her bag to see what other pills she was taking, and it looked like she had robbed a chemist. I recognized one of the drug names. It's the same pills my mom takes, and they are not for migraines. She isn't who I thought she was, but that's okay. I'm not the man she thinks I am either. I want to prove to her that I'm not as useless as she thinks, and I've had an idea for how to do that. Show some initiative. Trust your instincts. Follow your gut. That's what she said I should do, so that's what I'm doing. It takes over an hour to navigate my way to the manor, Blackmore National Park. Borders Hope Falls, but the park is vast, over 50 mi of knotted single-track lanes, and the mana is not easy to find. It doesn't appear on any map. The sun is just starting to rise when I arrive at the gated property surrounded by miles of nothing except wild and rugged countryside. It looks like a posh prison. I press the buzzer and tell them who I am and why I'm here before they ask. There was something about the way Harrison Wolfe reacted when we spoke about his daughter that has been bothering me ever since. Bird says Gabriella can't be involved because she's locked up here, but I want to see for myself. The gates open, and I drive down a long, winding tree-lined driveway. There is an impressive and slightly intimidating building. When I reach the end, it reminds me of Downtown Abbey, and I'm half expecting to be greeted by a butler. I park the squad car right outside the giant front doors, no doubt ruining the view, and hurry up the steps. The doors open before I reach them to reveal a small woman, dressed white. Her name badge says Ingrid. Can I help you? She asks, sounding like she'd rather not. She has a clipped European accent and a face as unfriendly as a closed door. I'm sorry to turn up so early like this, but I need to speak to one of your residents. It's 6:00 a.m. Everyone is asleep. The day team haven't even arrived for their shifts yet. I'm afraid it's a police matter and it's urgent. I'm looking for Gabriella Wolfe. Ingrid raises an eyebrow. She's very popular all of a sudden. You'd best follow me. She leads me through a grand entrance hall, up an impressive spiral staircase, and along maze of corridors. We stop outside a door, and she takes out a giant set of keys that once again make me think of a prison. The oversized and sturdy door looks exactly like all the others we have passed, but the sign on the front confirms I am in the right place. Room 13. Gabriella Wolfe. You lock her in, I ask, for her own safety, Ingrid says, then adds, and ours, while she jangles her keys, trying to find the right one. I wonder what to expect on the other side of the door. All I know about Gabriella is that she is 18 and lives here. I do not know why. As the door opens, I start to doubt myself. Coming here was going against a direct order from a superior officer. Maybe it wasn't the right thing to do. The woman dressed in white finally opens the door, and it's too late to turn back. Now, wait here while I wake her, she says, disappearing inside. I nod. Remaining in the corridor, I look both ways, and now the place reminds me of The Shining. The woman reappears sooner than I was expecting and makes me jump. She was already awake. You can come in. I step inside what could best be described as an extravagant hotel suite. There is a beautifully decorated lounge with expensive-looking furniture and huge windows offering spectacular views of the grounds and the shadowy moors. In the distance, I can see a door leading to what looks like a designer bedroom, and everything about the place screams wealth and luxury. This is not a prison. It is not what I was expecting at all, and neither is Gabriella Wolf. In front of one of the enormous windows, a stunning young woman with pale skin and long black hair is sitting in front of an easel holding a paintbrush in her hand. She doesn't turn to look at me as I enter the room. Instead, she carries on, painting as though I'm not here. Can she hear me? I asked Ingrid. Oh, yes, nothing wrong with her ears. Gabriella hadn't spoken a word for years before she joined us, but she's making good progress since she moved in. Hello, Gabriella. My name is Sergeant Luke Carter. I'm a policeman, and I wondered if I could ask you a few questions. She doesn't react at all, just stares at the canvas as though she didn't hear a word. The watercolor painting is of spy glass, and it's very good, the sort of work a professional artist might produce. I look around the room and see there are dozens more just like it. How long has she been here? I ask Ingrid. Not sure. I'm not her primary care assistant. 6 months or so, I think. And why is she here? Her parents felt like this was the best place for her. But what's wrong with her? I ask, given it looks like nothing is. Gabriella had a condition called selective mutism, but unlike the name suggests, there was no choice involved. She didn't choose not to speak. She couldn't. It's a severe and complex childhood anxiety disorder. Sometimes when a child experiences a trauma at a young age, they retreat inside themselves. Gabriella was in a serious accident at the age of 8. She basically spent 10 years locked inside her own mind. Her parents decided to care for her at home after the accident, which in my view was a mistake. She needed professional care to rehabilitate her mind as well as her body. That said, Gabriella has made excellent progress. Since she moved in here, she goes for supervised walks around the grounds. She's eating 3 meals a day, so is at a nice healthy weight. She enjoys painting and reading, and thanks to Mary, one of our specialist carers, she started to communicate. That gets my attention. I stop staring at Gabriella and turn back to Ingrid. She can talk again. She whispers. What? Sometimes she whispers. What she says doesn't always make sense, and she tends to only do it when Mary is here. But I've heard it with my own ears. Mary records her to keep track of her progress. How often does she whisper? Not often. It's normally an emotion response that triggers it. We're all hopeful that one day Gabriella might talk again and be able to have a normal life. She's fit and healthy in every other way, and as you can see, she's a wonderful artist, like her mother, I say, but the woman shrugs. Can I ask her some questions? Feel free to try, but I don't think she can help you. I walk over to Gabriella, and she is even more beautiful close up. That's a really good painting, I say. My words sound patronizing, but they are true. She is very talented. Did it take long? She doesn't even look up. Ingrid stands behind us as though on guard, and I know I need to be careful what I say. I noticed that Gabriella has painted the word home in tiny letters at the bottom of the canvas. I met your father the other day and he mentioned you. I tell her again. No visible response. I met your mother too. She doesn't even blink, just carries on painting as though I'm not here. Oh, look, says Ingrid, staring out of the window. There's Mary now, just arriving for her shift. You might have more luck talking to her. It seems music unlikely, and I fear this trip was a complete waste of time. I peer out of the window where Ingrid is pointing and see another woman dressed in a white uniform, music crossing the gravel driveway and heading towards the main door. I recognize this. Woman and her music. Name isn't Mary. It's Eden Fox. Music. 43. Birdie. I wake up, look in the mirror, music, and barely recognize myself. The first thing I music, think of every day now is how many days I have left. Thanks to Thanos, it's like I have a death music, clock ticking inside my mind. It's impossible not to worry. All I can music, think about is what happens to who I love when I'm not here. To love them anymore, it's like my dog. I've written a will, made some music plans, but that doesn't make me worry less. People rarely do what they should. They do what music they want instead. Because humans are a selfish species. Music, know I should focus on the present, make the most of the time I have left, but like so many things in life, that is harder to do than it is to say. How can a person live in the now when every single second music, now, becomes then, the present is only ever the past in the making? I heard Carter leave in the middle of the night, but music, I kept my eyes closed and pretended to be asleep. Once I was sure he was gone and saw him walking down the lane outside the pub, music, I whistled. For Sunday, my most loyal friend, my only friend, came running up the stairs, leapt onto the bed, and music made a very good replacement. I'm normally okay being alone, but right now I clears throat, don't want to be. The physical and emotional pain was too much music yesterday. It's getting harder to hide. The thoughts that trespass in my head are too loud for me to sleep or music dream, and even when I do, my dreams turn into nightmares. Music, not scared of dying, I'm just scared of what it means. Soon, I'll be nothing more than a memory, music. Pretty soon after then, I won't even be that. Everyone who remembered me will be gone too. I didn't intend to sleep with Carter. Music again, and I know I shouldn't have, but maybe I just wanted to trick myself into thinking that someone somewhere might miss me when I'm music gone, that I didn't completely waste my life, that it wasn't all for nothing. Music. When the sun starts to rise, I decide to stop wasting what little time I have left. I get myself up, get myself dressed, and get myself ready. Music. It's going to be another long day. I call Carter, music, to tell him where to meet me, but his phone goes straight to voicemail. I don't like leaving messages, and I don't see the point. His phone will show him that I called, and that should be enough for him to know to call me back as soon as possible. Music. It's still too early for Maddie to have opened the pub, so Sunday and I head out in search of breakfast. I see that the music, Driftwood Cafe, overlooking the harbor, is already open. We're closing soon. The old woman behind the counter hollows in a thick Cornish music accent when I step inside. She's busy with something and doesn't even look up. Her eyes are music too big for her face, and she radiates a no-nonsense vibe. Kath, if the name badge is to be believed, served me coffee. Music, yesterday, but has clearly forgot me already, just like everyone will soon. Music. We only open early doors at this time of year to cook breakfast for the local fishermen before they music head out for the day, she says, and now she's mentioned it, I did notice there were fewer boats in the harbor. Oh, it's you, she says, finally looking up and seeing me. A sliver of a smile spreads across her face. The woman with the bow tattoo on your hand. Perhaps I'm not as forgettable as I feared. Do you want 2 coffees again? I can manage that before I lock up, she says. Just one would be great. I'm on my own today. I don't know why I said that. I'm on my Own every sodding day. I must look as I feel because Kath seems to take pity on me, had a falling out with someone. Have you? Don't you worry. Love, there's plenty more fish in the sea. You might just need a better net. Plenty of trash in the sea, too. I've got a bit of leftover bacon and eggs if you'd like some, perhaps a sausage for the dog. Kath offers. Thank you. I forgot to eat yesterday after what happened. She shrugs. You mean the suicide? I nod. Can't let a thing like that ruin your appetite. Happens all the time. There are a lot of sad people in the world. Her indifference shocks me. Maybe the world would be less sad if people cared a bit more. I think of Mom and blink away the tears that are threatening to fall. I don't know what is wrong with me today. Everything. You all right, pet? Kath asks as though she can see inside my head. No. Yes, sorry, I didn't sleep well. Not eating and not sleeping are a recipe for not feeling like yourself. Everything seems worse than it is when you're tired and nothing good was achieved on an empty stomach. A woman after my own heart. You sit yourself down and I'll make us both a cup of coffee, the good stuff, and get you some breakfast. Just let me lock up and get the dishwasher on first, or I won't be home in time for this morning, she says, waddling past me to flip the open sign to closed. Did you know her, the missing woman? I ask, taking a seat in the booth nearest to the kitchen while Kath makes me a plate. No, and I'm not one for gossip, she says, sounding like someone who lives for it, but from what I've heard, she was a wealthy woman who moved here from London, fancied herself as an artist. Nobody seems to know very much about her. Nobody knows anyone anymore. Do they? Not really. People only care about the people they care about, and these days that's often themselves. Kath sounds like an unexpected kindred spirit. She puts a plate of food down in front of me and takes off her apron. You eat what you can, pet son. I'm happy to pay. She shakes her head. Accept kindness when it's offered. It's in short supply. I think I like being someone's good deed. I thank her and eat, moving the bacon away from the eggs on my plate before I start so that they are not touching. I'm not used to people being nice to me, and Kath has been kind for reasons I don't quite understand. As though she sees me, the real me. I suspect she misses having a busy cafe filled with people to chat to. The missing artist had an exhibition the other night. Did you go? I ask. She shakes her head. I get up early every day to open this place for the fishermen, so I never go out late. Never go out at all these days. Truth be told, enjoy life while you can, because you'll catch up with the likes of me sooner than you think. Old age sneaks up on us all like an unwelcome thief. It will never catch up with me. I silence the thought along with all the others. I'm too scared to think out loud, but I saw her yesterday morning. Just before she jumped, Cass says then. Eden Fox. I watched everyone up the hill. She had this lost look about her, like she didn't want to be here anymore. I see it all the time. I wonder what this woman sees when she sees me. You. Sure it was her. Who else would it have been? Did you see anyone else? Not that I remember, but I would have been busy in the kitchen. I thank Kath for breakfast and try to pay again, but she refuses. She walks me to the door to unlock it, then points out a man on the cliff path. Old Stu might have seen more than me. He was walking his dog just like he always does in the morning. After I leave, I call Carter, but his phone goes to voicemail again. No bother. Carter already sent me a transcript of his interview with old Stu the dog walker yesterday. I didn't read it before, but I plan to now. When Sunday and I return to the Smugglers. In, the doors are unlocked and Maddie is back behind the bar. You're up and out. Early, she says. How was your breakfast? At the cafe. Has she been spying on me? Lovely. It was the only place open when I woke up. I've always been an early bird, I reply, but she misses the reference to my name, not like your brother. Can't get hold of him at all. So far today, she frowns, looks a little defensive on his behalf. That's not like him. It's nice that she's so protective of her little brother. They're obviously very close. I hope they aren't so close that she knows about me sleeping with him. I feel embarrassed asking his sister the next question, but I just want to be sure I haven't made an even bigger mistake than the one I knew I was making. I thought Carter was single, but I now realize I never checked. I force my face to smile. Is there a girlfriend who keeps him up all night and makes him late for work? I ask. Maddie smiles too, shakes her head of red curls, and I feel a rush of relief. No jealous girlfriends to worry about, just his wife. 44. Carter. What the actual? I'm certain I just saw Eden Fox dressed as an employee at the manor, not dead, not missing, very much alive and walking into the building. My instinct is to run out of Gabriella's room and down the stairs and confront her as soon as she steps inside, but I hear DCI Bird's voice in my head. Sometimes less is more when questioning a suspect. Wait, watch, and above all else listen. I know more than Bird gives me credit for, but she is a good detective, and I should try to learn from her. I'll go downstairs and tell Mary that you're here, says the woman dressed in white. I've already forgotten her name and glance again at her badge. No need, Ingrid. I have some more questions for you while we wait for her. Is it likely that Gabriella will ever leave this place? You said she's 18. It's possible, but she would still need full-time care. Her father is very successful at whatever he does, but that means he is a busy man. I get the impression that if he could care for her himself, he would. He visits all the time, and I think he just wants what is best for his daughter. What does he do? I ask, wondering if she knows more about the company that Harrison works for. I looked up Thanos, but couldn't find much online. She looked puzzled. I don't know. But whatever it is pays. Well, the fees here are not cheap. And Gabriella's mother, do they not visit their daughter together? I've never seen her parents here at the same time. It's normally only him. I glance at Gabriella. 18, elegant, beautiful, clearly talented. She doesn't look like she needs full-time care. The girl stops painting and stares into space, and I remember that she can hear me. I feel bad about how insensitive some of the things I have already said might have sounded. Gabriella's case is complex and unique. In her mind, she is still a child, frozen in time when the accident occurred. Her most recent assessment was the same as the last, that she still has a mental age of 8, which is how old she was when the accident happened. For her, we think it might feel as though it happened yesterday, but she has never talked about it, shuts down and clams up. If anyone tries, she looks 18 to us. Because she is, but she does not recognize pictures of herself, how she looks now, or even her own reflection. We had to remove all the mirrors from her room because she was scared there was someone else there, but she has frequently demonstrated that she recognizes herself in photos of when she was 8 or younger. In extreme cases of trauma, some people remain trapped that moment for days, weeks, months, or even years, sometimes forever. Gabriella can barely speak. She can't work or Support herself financially. She'll eat. If food is put in front of her, but has never prepared a meal, although she is making progress, whispering yard word. Here and there, it would be like leaving an 8-year-old child home alone. All the while we're talking, I keep checking the door, waiting for Eden, or Mary, as this woman calls her, to walk through it and tell me more about Mary. It sounds as though the two of them are close. Mary hasn't been working with us for very long, but she's wonderful at her job and very popular with the residents, especially Gabriella. I don't know much about Mary's personal life. She keeps herself to herself, but I know she started working here after her former employer died. Who was her former employer? I don't remember the name. An elderly woman who needed a full-time living carer somewhere by the coast. I think Mary had worked for her for years and was a little out of practice when it came to looking for a new job. She just turned up here one day with her CV. We were so short-staffed. We always are. Staff turnover is high in this business. It's hard work for low pay, and people rarely stay for long. So Mary was given a trial run on the spot, and everyone adored her from the beginning, especially Gabriella. The two of them have become quite close. I didn't believe Mary when she said Gabriella had started to communicate. It was only the odd word at first. None of it made much sense, and she wouldn't do it in front of anyone except Mary. So Mary started recording her, and this old Walkman that she has, I think, to prove she wasn't making it up. She looks toward Gabriella, then lowers her voice. Honestly, the first time I heard the girl whispering, it gave me goosebumps. I'm guessing her vocal cords are damaged after so many years of not being used. So the sound that comes out of her is a little bit creepy. Gabriella drops her paintbrush. It clatters to the floor, and I worry that she heard what Ingrid said. She doesn't move, just sits and stares at the canvas. I walk over to her and bend down to pick up the brush, and when I place it on the easel, I see that she has added a few more details to her painting. Of spyglass, there is now a fox on one side of the house and a wolf on the other. Her parents are Eden Fox and Harrison Wolf. It can't be coincidence. DCI Bird says there is no such thing. Gabriella turns her head to stare at the door. We all do when we hear the sound of footsteps approaching. Then her lips part, and I hear the girl whisper. That isn't what I'd call it. The eerie, broken sound that comes out of her mouth is so quiet it's barely audible. But the raspy words wheeze out of her body, and when I hear what she says, it sends a chill through mine. Run, rabbit, run, rabbit, run, run. The door opens, and Eden Fox walks into the room. It really is her. Her long blonde hair is tied back in a ponytail, and she is wearing a white uniform with a name badge that does indeed say Mary. Clears throat. Eden stares at Gabriella. Then she stares at me. Then she runs. 45. Interviewer, Sergeant Luke Carter. Interviewee, Old Stu. Date, October 31st, 2025. Location, Hope Falls Police Station. Can I get your name for the recording? Please. You know my name. It's just for the tape. Stu. Your full name, sir. Old Stu. Got it, so you were walking your dog when you saw her. Yes, I told you that already, and I really ought to be heading home. Tilly will be wanting breakfast. Tilly. My dog. Right, of course. This won't take long. Tell me about the woman that you saw running up the hill on the coast path. What was she wearing? Where was she going? Did you recognize her? No, I didn't recognize her. You didn't see her at the art gallery. The night before. What would I be doing at an art gallery? And why would I be buying paintings of the sea when I can look out of my bleeding window and see the real thing? Besides, Tilly don't like being left alone. Is this going to take much longer? I just need to know what you remember. About what you saw. I remember everything. I'm old, not senile, and don't be back chatting too. Me, Luke Carter, I've known you since. You were in your nappy, I saw. Woman, she was running towards the suicide spot at the crack of dawn. She looked upset. When I walked back up the hill, she was gone. But you didn't see her jump. No. In what way did she look upset? She'd been crying. Nose as red as Rudolph's. And she was distracted. What makes you say that? Well, I said hello and she didn't say hello back. She didn't even look at me. Just carried on running up that hill. Like Kate bleeding bush, I thought it was rude at first, but my eyes aren't great these days. She might have been listening to music or something. Sometimes young'uns have those white things in their ears nowadays, don't they? Looks like they're talking to themselves when they're not. Perhaps she didn't near me. Did she see you? I don't know. She seemed to be in a hurry. And just to be clear, you didn't see her jump. How many times I told you already? Are you not listening? I didn't see her jump, but she was running toward the waterfall when I passed her, and when I turned back, I couldn't see her on the coast path. As you know, that stretch of path is straight, you can see for miles, and I couldn't see her at all. It was like she just vanished. Make of that what you will. Can I go now? Soon. I just need to Christ on a bike. If you want to know more about what happened, why don't you ask the other woman? Other woman? Is there an echo in here, or do you have cloth ears? I told you there was another woman who ran up the hill after her. She is far more likely to have seen what happened than me. Why don't you go and bother her instead? 46. Birdie. Whenever I think I've got my ducks in a row, one of them flies off. It was like someone had punched me in the chest when Carter's sister said he was married. For a moment it felt like I couldn't breathe. I tried to hide it as best I could, made my excuses, then hurried up to my room. I feel like a fool. I tried to distract myself by reading the transcript of Carter's interview with old Stu the dog walker, but it feels like an additional kick in the tits. Why didn't Carter tell me that another woman was seen chasing Eden Fox up the hill? Carter has been lying to me about himself and the investigation. I can understand him not wanting me to know he was married, cheating little, but keeping important information from me when a woman is missing, suspected dead, is not okay, and it doesn't make sense. Why would he do that? I'm absolutely furious, but fury has always made me productive. I need to speak to old Stu myself. It doesn't take me long to find out where he lives. Everyone seems to know everyone and everything about each other in this village, or at least they think they do. I've always preferred keeping a low profile, but that's proving tricky. In a place like this, I head up the hill until I reach a thatched cottage with a black door. Who is it? Shouts a voice inside. When I ring the bell, I don't answer. Instead, I just wait. Eventually, the door opens and a short, angular-looking man appears behind it. He has long white hair and bushy white eyebrows. Gruff is the first word that springs to mind. What do you want? He growls. Right now, I'd settle for the truth. Despite being in his 70s, old Stu is Dressed like a surfer dude, he is not what I was expecting and is clearly not interested in talking to people unless he has to. I take out my badge. What are you showing me that for? I already told Carter everything I know, he says, starting to close the door. I appreciate that, Mr. Everyone calls me Old Stu. But your full name is Stu Cummings, is that right? He narrows his eyes and raises one of his old man brows. How do you know that? I know a lot of things. I wonder if I could come inside. It won't take long. His fluffy white brows knit themselves into a frown, but I'm already through the door. The house smells of wet dog and burnt toast. I linger in the hallway, not wishing to intrude any more than I have to. I know that you've spoken to Sergeant Carter, but I'd like to ask you a few questions. Myself, sometimes people remember things differently once a little time has passed, especially when a crime might have taken place. Are you suggesting that I'm a few sandwiches short of a picnic? I smile. Not at all. The same rules apply to everyone. Almost all witnesses are unreliable, and they sometimes remember something they forgot to mention the first time or they didn't think was relevant when we asked them. Again, fine. Hope you don't mind dogs. I like them far more than I like people. So no worries there. As though on cue, a sausage dog and a Labrador come into the hallway and sniff and greet me. A pug follows close behind, and I wonder how many dogs there can be in such a tiny house. I politely refuse the half-hearted offer of tea. I just want to be sure of what this man did and didn't see. The answers he gave me are very similar to the answers he gave Carter, but what I'm most interested in is the other woman he thinks he saw. What other woman? He asks, staring over my shoulder at the muted TV in the living room behind me. I get the impression I might be keeping him from his favorite show. When you spoke to Sergeant Carter, you said you saw another woman running up the hill after the first one. No, I never. You didn't see a second woman, or you didn't tell him that you did. You're making my head hurt speaking in riddles. I saw a woman, just the one, running up the hill toward the suicide spot. How many times do I have to tell you people the same thing? Carter has always been a squibber lower. Back in my day, police officers wrote things down and remembered what you told them. Not anymore. Now there are two of you asking the same bloody questions and still getting everything I say wrong. Have you got cloth ears too? I leave feeling even more confused than before. Did old Stu forget what he saw, or did Carter make up what he said in the transcript? 47. Carter, you couldn't make this up. That's what I think when I see Eden Fox alive and well. At the manor, I genuinely thought she was dead, that the body on the beach was her, and now I don't know what to think. I thought I knew the woman. I thought she had feelings for me, but now I feel like a fool. I kissed her and she kissed me back, but clearly it meant nothing to her. She lied to me, possibly about everything. And I need to know why. I hurry out of the room and chase after the woman, dressed in white, who I know as Eden Fox, but who has been calling herself Mary here. I see her running down the grand spiral staircase and do my best to catch up, but she's fast. She turns a corner, runs across the entrance hall, almost losing her balance and skidding on the polished parquet floor, then through a door, slamming it closed behind her. By the time I catch up and yank it open, I see that it leads to a large dining room. There are small tables, immaculately set with white linen, tablecloths, elaborately folded napkins, silverware, and crystal glasses. Classical music plays softly in the background, and well-dressed young people are helping themselves too. Breakfast already. There is a huge round table in the middle of the room covered in an abundance of delicious-looking food, as though this were a luxury hotel and not an institution. They all stop and stare when they see my police uniform. Where did she go? I ask. Nobody in particular. Who? Asks a random girl. Eden. My answer is met with blank faces. Mary. I try instead, and someone points towards a set of glass doors leading to the formal gardens. I weave my way through the tables and chairs and out of the building. I stop and scan the grounds for any sign of her. Then I hear a car engine in the distance. I sprint towards the car park just as a red Mini appears on the driveway. It's her. I block the car's path, thinking she'll slow down, but the car speeds up, hurtling towards me. I only just managed to dive out of the way in time. Eden Fox won't come back to the manor, not now that she knows I'm onto her, but her daughter is still here. Gabriella warned Eden to run. She's not as innocent or as broken as everyone else seems to think. I hurry back inside and run straight into the nurse dressed in white. I need to speak to Gabriella again. She glares at me. Absolutely not. I don't know what is going on here, but I won't have our residents upset like this. That poor girl will need to dadding thanks to you. Then you can answer my questions. How long has Gabriella's mother been visiting her here and pretending to be an employee? What are you talking about? That wasn't Gabriella's mother. That was Mary, and she wasn't pretending to be one of the staff. She worked here. That woman was Eden Fox. I insist. No, she wasn't. Come with me to the office and I'll show you Mary Kendall's staff file. We do checks on all of our employees for obvious reasons, and we keep detailed records. I have no idea why she ran away from you. That's her business, but she isn't who you think she is. I'm telling you that you are mistaken, and your mistake has caused a vulnerable young woman a great deal of stress. Follow me. I do follow Ingrid to the office, feeling more like a chastised schoolboy with every step, but I'm getting used to women telling me off and telling me I am wrong about everything. A symphony of tiny violins starts playing inside my head, but I can't seem to silence them. I thought Eden had feelings for me, but clearly she doesn't. I thought she was dead, but she isn't. And I was convinced that Harrison Wolfe was protecting his daughter, and that Gabriella had something to do with all of this, but I guess I was wrong about that too. Old Stu thought he saw a second woman following Eden Fox up the hill. He sometimes, quite often, actually gets confused, so I didn't tell Bird. And if he did see someone, I thought I knew who it was, but Gabriella hasn't left this place, and Eden Fox is alive. So, who is the dead woman on the beach? And what else am I wrong about? I think I've made a terrible mistake. 48. Harrison. My life is a series of mistakes stitched together into something resembling success. I know that even if nobody else does, other people only see the version of me I let them see. 10 years ago, when Eden called me to say that Gabriella was missing, I thought calling the police was the right thing to do. Surely most parents would think the same, but that was a mistake too. Everything I did that day was an error of judgment, miscalculation. A major. I think when your life unravels, you can normally look back and pinpoint the moment you took a wrong turn. There's almost always a crossroads with right clearly signposted for one direction, and wrong would mean heading the opposite way, but wrong can sometimes feel so damn right, that's why. So many people feel lost. I was driving to the city when it happened, heading back to work. Things were just as busy for me then as they are now. I should have been able to trust Eden to look after our little girl. Gabriella's mother was always too distracted to properly care for our child. Her head was elsewhere, and I should have done more to make sure she was being properly looked after. There were so many warning signs, but I didn't pay attention. I was still desperately trying to get funding to start the company. Thanos didn't even have a name. Back then, I was working crazy hours and I was distracted. But a parent's number one job is to keep their child safe, and we both failed. They were already at the hospital by the time I got there, and as soon as I saw my broken little girl, I cried. You should be able to trust a mother to take care of her daughter. She didn't, but it wasn't her fault, it was mine. We gave Gabriella the bike for her 8th birthday, was my idea. Gabby loved it, just like I knew she would. Spent hours riding up and down the street outside our home. It made her happy, but then she wanted me to take off the training wheels because she'd seen other kids her age without them. I said no. I wanted to keep her safe. I wanted to teach her to ride without them myself, and I didn't have time that day. If I'd said yes, I wonder if things might not have played out the way they did. If I'd said no to work that day instead of no to my daughter, maybe our lives would have been different. Eden was inconsolable, clears throat. Gabriella's mother blamed herself for all of it, but it was my fault. Trusting Eden in the first place was my biggest mistake, one I have paid for every day since and will regret for the rest of my life. I know how long I have left with my regrets, and everything I am doing now is for her, my daughter. I have locked all the doors and windows at spite glass and closed all the curtains and blinds. I want to hide from the world and pretend I haven't done what I've done, so I'm sitting in the dark in a house I did not want to live in, wondering how it came to this. I have invested everything I have to build then to make something of my life and chain the lives of others, and now I fear I might lose it all, everything I have worked so hard for, and the sacrifices I have made along the way will have been for nothing, all because of one mistake. A kiss between two people who should have known better. Jealousy gives birth to monsters, and that is what I have become. I guess we're all just a bad roll of the dice from sliding back down to the bottom of the ladder we spent our whole lives trying to climb. And I don't see a way to pull myself back up this time. My phone rings, vibrating silently on the bed. I've been screening my calls for hours, but when I see the display says the manor, I answer immediately. Some primal instinct takes over and I become the man the rest of the world believes I am, the man I used to be. Harrison Wolf speaking. The voice on the other end of the line sounds small and afraid. Their words are too fast, tripping over themselves. My mind can't seem to keep up or translate them fast enough. What do you mean the police interviewed Gabriella? I shout into the phone. They can't do that, and you should never have let them. She's a child, for God's sake. The voice on the other end of the line contradicts me, and I'm not in the mood. You and I both know. She is only 18 in years, I said strictly. No visitors, that means none, I bet. Sergeant Carter didn't even have a warrant and you just let him in. Remind me how much I'm paying you to take care of my daughter. The voice keeps apologizing. I don't want to hear anymore. Just have the doctor call me. I'll deal with this matter myself, I say and hang up, rage rushing through me. Tweedle is dumb, went to the manor and tried to question my little girl. The police couldn't do their job 10 years ago, and they can't be trusted this time either. I'm doing this my way from now on. 49. Interviewer, DCI Olivia Bird. Interviewee, Maddie Carter. Date, November 1st, 2025. Location, the Smuggler's Inn. Thank you for speaking to me on the record. No bother, not exactly rushed. Off my feet am I? It's nothing to worry about. We're interviewing a lot of people in the village, so just standard procedure. Really, but for the record, where were you yesterday morning when Eden Fox was last seen alive? Me, blimey, surely you don't think I had something to do with it? Like I said, nothing to worry about. We're asking everyone. Well, I was probably still in bed, from what I heard. She jumped first thing shortly after dawn. I don't open the pub until mid-morning. Pretty pointless opening at all this time of year, and pubs close late, so I have a lie-in most days. Did you go to Eden's art exhibition the night before? Not on Snorts Your Nelly. I was working, but even if I hadn't been, art isn't exactly my cup of tea. Most folks went to the gallery that night for a free glass of warm wine. I've got all the free drinks I could ever want right here. Tell me about old Stu. Not much to tell. He likes his dogs. He likes to surf. He likes to walk along the coast path every morning at sunrise. How do you know that if you never get up early? I work behind the bar in a village pub. I know most things about most people. Do you know if old Stu likes to make things up? The clue is in the name. He's old. Sometimes his memory might play tricks on him. He gets confused. He doesn't mean any harm. And your brother, where might he have been first thing yesterday morning? Why are you asking me? Why not just ask him? All routine questions and standard procedure. My brother is a hardworking, honest, decent man, and he was born to be a policeman. That's debatable. Sorry. Your brother didn't even show up for work today. Then there must be something wrong. That's not like him. I'm just doing my job. You mean his job? That promotion should have been Carter's. Why does Hope Fools need a senior detective from London? What happened here yesterday was just another suicide. Seems to me you just want to justify your existence by going around asking people questions that don't need asking. There's no need to get upset. Hope Fools is our home. Always has been, always will be. Other folks come and go, but the people who live in this village stick together. My brother only has good things to say about you. He trusts you. Thinks you can teach him a thing or two. Me, I'm not so sure. Really, what do you think about me? I like your dog. Thanks. I think Hope Falls and my brother were perfectly all right without you. We don't need someone like you here. No offense. Some taken. 50, Birdie. I can't decide whether questioning Carter's sister was a good idea or not. It was definitely more confrontation than I expected. Maddie helped establish that old Stu is not a reliable witness and made me feel as popular as a fart in a lift, but I'm not sure I'm any closer to finding out what really happened to Edom Fox. I feel like everyone in this village is keeping secrets, and I'm starting to wonder if coming to Hope Falls was a huge mistake. I've spent the last couple of hours checking files and paperwork in what this place laughingly calls a police station to see if there's anything else Carter is lying about. I'm normally a Pretty good judge of character, but it turns out the man I shared my bed with last night is married, and he might be lying about this case. I never pegged Carter for a Casanova. It's not like me to make such an error of judgment. I don't know whether it's the stress of everything I have going on or whether I'm just too ill to think straight. The drugs I'm taking do ease my pain, but they also slow my mind. I need to catch up. I need to know what Carter knows and if there's anything else he and the other residents of Hope Falls aren't telling me. I go through Carter's desk before trying and failing to log into the computer. The cursor winks as though mocking me. I hate computers and the internet and almost all technology. I think I should have been born a 100 red years earlier. Jessica Fletcher didn't have to deal with all this. The blue door of the police station bursts open, but it isn't Carter. He's still AWOL. Instead, it is a red-faced Harrison Wolf. He might not have killed anyone, but he looks as though he could be about to. He reminds me of a gremlin who has been fed after midnight. Where is he? Harrison asks, voice raised, practically spitting the words. You might need to be a little more specific. Where is Sergeant Carter? That piece of has been to interview Gabriella. I told him she has nothing to do with this. I told him she wasn't to be disturbed. You gave me your word she would be left out of this, and now I'm getting phone calls from the manor telling me my little girl has been interrogated. She's 18, not a little girl, I think. But don't say anything. In my experience, parents rarely want to hear the truth about their children. I intend to make a formal complaint about Sergeant Carter, and I want that incompetent, irresponsible, for brains fired. Okay, calm down, breathe. Don't patronize me. He had no right. This never should have happened. I agree with you. I didn't know that's what he was doing. I can only apologize and promise I will deal with him myself when I next see him. I'm not that happy with him either right now. Is Gabriella okay? Carter should not have gone to the manor. I specifically told him not to. I don't know what he was thinking. No wonder Harrison is furious. Of course she is not okay. None of this is, he says, towering over me and standing too close. I already answered all your bloody questions twice. I let you and him come into my home and treat me as though I've done something wrong. I'm the victim here. If the police had done their job in the first place, none of this would be happening. Carter has crossed a line, and you let him. This is your fault. You should have kept your sidekick in line. You should have done your job. I've grown rather wary of people thinking they can speak to me like this. People who think their time is more important than mine. People who think everything is everyone else's fault. People who lie. I can't stand it anymore. You need to calm the down, I say firmly, and Harrison's face turns an even brighter shade of red. He looks like he might explode like the kid at Willy Wonka's chocolate factory. Seeing as you're here, perhaps we could talk about your job again, I say, and he blinks as though he doesn't understand. Thanos. Is it real? He frowns. You're asking if my job is real. Is Thanos real? Can your company really predict the day a person will die? I have to know. Frown stretches into something else. Pity, perhaps. Nope, not pity. Something like disdain. He stares at me, then slowly shakes his head as though I'm the lowest of the low for asking a question like that at a time like this. Then he says, this is about my daughter. I feel myself snap, crackle and pop. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought this was about your wife. They Reason Carter felt the need to question. Your daughter is because your wife is. Missing, I know that my wife is, do you? I thought you might have forgotten. Let me remind you, your wife was last seen at a suicide spot. A body was found on the beach yesterday, and you seem to be the only person in the village who isn't talking about it. You haven't even asked me who it is. You haven't been answering your door or your phone when most people in your situation would be desperate for news about a missing loved one. I think that is strange, suspicious even, and it makes me wonder if the reason you haven't asked who the dead woman we found on the beach is because you already know. You coming in here screaming and shouting about your daughter looks a lot like deflecting to me, your way of trying to divert this investigation from the truth, and it makes you look guilty. He stares at me, and I know I've gone too far. If you found my wife, why haven't you asked me to identify her? There isn't enough left of the woman we found to identify. His face drains of color, and I regret my words as soon as I've said them, but before either of us can say anything else, the door opens again, and Carter walks in. We both stare at him, and he stares back. Everything okay? He asks, as though butter wouldn't melt. No. Carter, everything is not okay. You've been AWOL all bloody day. I'd ask where you've been, but in case you're too much of an idiot to guess, I know. You disobeyed a direct order. You're off the case, and you're suspended. 51. Carter, I can't believe I'm suspended. Losing the job I love is the worst thing that could ever happen to me. I leave the station in a depressed daze and go for a walk along the coast path. I need to clear my head. I find myself standing at the waterfall at the top of the cliffs, peering down at the waves crashing on the rocks below, the exact spot where I thought Eden had jumped. Now I don't know what to think. All we found yesterday morning was an abandoned sweater, but today I spot something in the dirt, something small and shiny, something we might have missed. I bend down to pick it up and see that it is a silver keychain with the name Eden engraved on it, just like the one the woman I tried to arrest showed me. When the sun starts to set, I begin walking back toward Hope Falls. I hesitate when I pass the Smugglers Inn. I could really do with a drink. I know there's nothing good at my house, but my sister has always been able to read me like a book she's read too many times before, and I can't handle her judging me right now. Plus, with DCI Bird renting one of the rooms upstairs and calling the place her office, she's bound to be there, and I don't want to run into her again anytime soon either. It's the day of the Dead Festival, so the pub will be packed with people drinking before the parade tonight and full of more faces I don't want to see. So I head home, the last place on earth I want to be. I bought the cottage year ago with a tiny deposit and a huge mortgage. My parents aren't the kind of people who could ever help their kids financially. They can barely support themselves. I expect all they'll leave behind when they die are debts and regrets, but I worked hard. I saved hard, and when most of my mates were having fun, I made sacrifices so that I could afford my own house in Hope Falls. The place has always been my home. Property prices here have rocketed, thanks to rich Londoners buying holiday less, and it wasn't easy, but I did it. I moved in just before January, and I was so proud of myself, a tad too much. Perhaps I went to the pub along with everyone else in the village that New Year's Eve. I celebrated a little bit too hard, so hard that in the morning I couldn't remember half of the night before. The room was still spinning, and I could barely see straight. But I could see Jane in my bed, even if I couldn't remember how she got there. Jane was in the year below me at school. She was a nice enough girl, but not someone I was especially interested in or attracted to, but somehow there she was, naked beneath the sheets, her head on my pillow, her underwear on my floor. Jane left my flat on New Year's Day and left me her number too, but I didn't call. I felt bad about it for a while, and then forgot it ever happened until she came back 2 months later and told me she was pregnant. Jane wanted to keep the baby. I supported her decision because it was the right thing to do. She wanted to move in together, and I said yes because it was the right thing to do. Then she wanted to get married, so we did because it was the right thing to do. I was raised to always do the right thing, but now almost everything about my life feels wrong, so I've become a bit less risk-averse when it comes to morality. I didn't tell DCI Bird I was married, because in almost every way it feels like I'm not. It's a marriage of inconvenience. That's all it ever was, and although I care about the mother of my child, I do not love her. I never did. I don't even wear a wedding ring. I told Jane I couldn't afford to when we got married. But that wasn't the real reason. Doing the right thing has got me into all sorts of trouble. I'm trapped by a moral compass that often seems to send me the wrong direction. And this feels like a dead end. Harrison Wolf looked delighted when I was suspended. I'd give anything to wipe that smug smile off his face. I'm desperate to tell Bird what I've discovered and show her what I found. But when she took me off the case, she looked so disappointed in me. She refused to listen to a word I had to say, suspended me until further notice, and sent me home, all because I went to the manor. If she gets this angry about me questioning someone she told me not to, thank God she doesn't know I'm married after we slept together again last night. I'm quite certain she'd turn me a new one if she did. I've never been suspended before. I don't know if I'll still get paid, and I don't know if I can afford my next mortgage payment if I don't. Clears throat. Before I reach the house, I call an old pal of mine who works at Devon and Cornwall Police HQ. When he doesn't answer, I leave a message. Hi, Dave. Long time no speak. Be soon. DCI Bird took over my patch yesterday, and long story short, I've been suspended. Can she do that? Just want to know where I stand. Call me when you can, buddy. And don't tell anyone. I slip my phone back in my pocket and try to compose my emotions and my face. Luke, is that you? Jane calls from the kitchen as soon as I walk through the front door. Our cottage is a tiny 2-up, 2-down terrace, so there's no avoiding each other. Who else would it be? I reply, taking off my coat. You're late, you're okay. Dinner's almost ready. I've just put her down, but you can say goodnight if you like. She means our daughter, and I do want to say goodnight. I quietly climb the stairs, avoiding the ones I know, creak and creep along the landing to the little nursery at the end of the hall. My baby girl is asleep in her cot, safe and sound, her mobile still spinning above her head, the nightlight casting a pattern of stars on the wall. I might not love her mother, but I love Starrin more than I knew it was possible. To love another human being, I'd kill to protect my daughter, and for the first time, I start to feel a little guilty about my actions today, interviewing Gabriella Wolf when I knew it might be the wrong thing to do. Harrison's Ray may or may not have been justified, but I understand it now. I think little girls stay little girls forever in their fathers' hearts. I head back downstairs and into the Kitchen where Jane is standing at the cooker wearing an apron over her casual clothes. She dresses like it's Sunday. Every day of the week, I'm surprised too. See, she has opened a bottle of wine. She rarely drinks, and I decide not to swirl the mood by telling her I've just been suspended. Her brown hair is in a messy bun as always. She pays even less attention to her appearance since Starum was born, but it looks like she might have washed it at least. She set the table too, which is strange. We normally eat our dinner on trays in front of the TV. My heart sinks when I see that she set 3 places. I'm not in the mood for company, and an extra plate normally means my mother-in-law is coming. I kiss Jane on the cheek out of habit. What's wrong with your face? Bad day, she asks, giving me half a hug. Just tired, I reply, peering inside the oven to see what she's cooking. Well, you'd better wake yourself up. She'll be here soon. Who? Your new boss? I freeze. It had occurred to me that DCI Bird and Jane might meet at some point. In a village this size, everyone knows everyone, but there hasn't been time to think that through since she arrived. Without any warning, sleeping together again last night didn't help with bringing up the subject of my marriage. There's never been a good time to tell Bird the truth or tried to explain. She already knows. DCI Bird is coming here, I ask, hoping I might have misunderstood. Yes, she was here earlier looking for you twice, said that you weren't answering your phone and that she was worried. I guess I've been worried too. What were you sneaking in at 4:00 a.m. last night and then sneaking back out? Again, you're working too hard, my love. I know you've been worried about having a new boss, so I invited her for dinner. You invited her here? Yes, I thought it would be nice. Why, what's wrong? Jane asks. Everything. Before I can answer, someone knocks on the front door. 52, Bertie. The door opens, and I enjoy the sight of Carter squirming in the distance as I enter his home. The usually empty pub was packed full of people, all with their faces painted like skeletons for the Day of the Dead parade, so in lots of ways, it was a relief to get away. Carter's lovely, albeit very young wife takes my jacket and hangs it on the bottom banister of the stairs on top of an already teetering pile of coats. I see the large and messy collection of wellies and walking shoes in the hallway, some caked in mud and sand, and it seems Carter's home is not as neat and tidy as the rest of his life. Jane leads me through to the kitchen, and I take it all in. The house has been decorated on a budget, but everything looks tasteful and carefully chosen. It's clean enough, but not remotely tidy. There is evidence of a baby everywhere I look, from the photos on the wall to the baby bouncer in the corner, and blankets, toys, and bottles strewn about the place, but it still looks nice, feels welcoming, like a real home. There's something rather lovely about the organized chaos of family life. I bookmark that thought and take a seat at the table. I'm not the world's best cook. Sorry in advance, Jane says. Looking at her, I'm not convinced she's the world's best anything. World's best mother, maybe, says a cruel voice inside my head. Jane certainly seems to love her little girl. Carter's wife is not at all what I was expecting. But then I didn't even know he was married until a few hours ago. Jane looks exactly the same as she did earlier today, with her denim dungarees over a Breton on top and slippers shaped like animals that should only be worn by children. She's made no effort with her appearance, from what I can tell, even though she was expecting me this time. She clearly doesn't see me as a threat or anything other than Carter's boss. And why should she? Wives should be able to trust their husbands. I try to have kind thoughts. Apparently, it's scientifically proven to be better for your health, but it's hard. Jane is not the sort of girl I would have imagined Carter settling down with when he seems so overly ambitious in every other area of his life. She's a plain Jane if ever I saw one. I hope you like homemade lasagna, she says. Depends on the home and who's making it. That sounds delicious. Thank you so much for inviting me. Well, I thought it would be good to get to know Carter's boss. I know you're new to the area, and he said, you're all alone, so I thought a bit of company might be nice. I am alone. 40-some years on the planet, and I seem to have very little to show for it. Jane didn't mean the words in a hurtful way, so I try not to let them hurt. Can I get you a drink? She asks. Just water would be lovely. We have wine, I bought it. Especially, DCI Bird doesn't drink alcohol. Carter interrupts as though can't answer for myself. It's the first thing he said since I arrived. Water is fine for me, but you go ahead. I say, oh, Jane replies as though I just said I drink only blood. Well, never mind. You've arrived in Hope Falls at a fun time. Did you know about the day of the Dead Festival? The torch-lit parade starts just down the lane later. I can't go this year because of the baby, obviously, but the two of you should check it out after dinner. I'd rather eat my own liver. That sounds wonderful. Can't wait. Carter, who doesn't seem to know where to look or what to say, fills my glass from the kitchen tap. He must be wondering what I'm doing here and worrying about his lovely wife finding out he's been cheating on her. Why must men be so predictable and disappointing? Even the good ones. I hear a baby crying somewhere, and the sound makes me shiver. I look around as though the child might be here in the kitchen, but then I see Jane checking what looks like a baby monitor. I guess they make them high tech these days. There's a video feed and everything. Excuse me for a moment. Starin doesn't normally fuss once she's been put down. I'm just going to double check everything's okay. Back in a minute, Jane says before leaving the kitchen and scaring up the stairs. The room is thick with silence as soon as she's gone. It isn't just uncomfortable. It's excruciating. Please don't tell her, Carter whispers. As soon as she's out of earshot. Which part would you rather I didn't tell your wife? That you had sex with your new boss, or that you lost your job today? I thought I was just suspended. I shake my head in disbelief. I'll do anything you want if you don't tell her. Anything. I'll walk your dog, clean your scooter, I'll buy you lunch every day. I'll do all the station paperwork for a year, 2 years. How does that sound? It sounds like you should go yourself. He looks like he might cry. I'm begging you, he whispers. Well, I'd rather you didn't. There's no need to start kittens. I'm not here to tell your wife anything, but I will say you're an idiot for cheating on her. People would kill for what you have here, a real family. What happened was a mistake. It didn't mean anything. Must you lower the bar every time you open your mouth? I mean her, not you. She was a mistake, he says. Has a lifetime of sea air rotted your brain or something? I got married in a hurry. I wasn't in love. We were drunk. We had sex. And you thought your personality was sufficient. Birth control. I have no interest in his sob story. Carter's sister already filled me in on how a drunken night, minus the sense he was born with, plus one night stand plus a pregnancy equal shotgun wedding. I was trying to do the right thing, he says, looking very sorry for himself. For who? I ask my little girl. She's the best thing that ever happened to me. And I'd do anything for her, so just tell me what I need to do to make this right. There is something very likable about a man who cares more about his children than he does about himself. I met your daughter when I met your wife. Earlier. Starin is beautiful, I tell him, and his face transforms with pride. Thank you, she has a very pretty name. Is it Cornish? He nods. It means star and she means the world to me. Tell me how to fix this. I can't lose my job. We need the money. Calm down. You're not really suspended. I just said that to satisfy Harrison. He was so angry because of you. I thought he might have a heart attack. 1 dead body on my first day is unfortunate. 2 would just be careless. So I'm not suspended. Not yet. Tell me what happened when you interviewed Harrison's daughter. Was it a waste of time like I predicted? Actually, no. He reaches inside pocket, then puts a silver keychain on the kitchen table. It says, "Love you to the moon and back," and seems deeply inappropriate given wife is upstairs. I frown. He flips it over, and now I read the name, Eden. He stares at me with a totter expression on his face. Am I missing something? I ask. My fault. Let's start with Gabriella, he says, then leaps up and grabs a slim folder from the kitchen counter, behaving like an excited school boy desperate to show me his homework. Gabriella Wolf can't speak. She whispers things, but nothing she says makes any sense. So you had something in common then. He ignores me. Her main carer is someone called Mary, but Mary looks like this. He puts what looks like a copy of an employment record on the kitchen table. It includes a picture of a blonde woman. I stare at it and at him, then start to say, but I thought this was Eden Fox. I thought so too. Carter reaches for a pink laptop that I'm guessing belongs to his wife. The screen displays a recipe for easy lasagna. Carter starts tapping on the keyboard, and I see a search engine. He types in Eden Fox, an artist, and up pops website full of paintings of the sea and a picture of her face. There is no doubt about it. Eden Fox and Mary are the same woman. Oh my God. I thought Carter was a nice to look at waste of space, one of those junior police officers who's super keen but just not cut out for the job. Now I think I might have been wrong. Why on earth didn't you tell me this before? I ask. You suspended me before I got the chance, so Eden Fox isn't dead. He frowns. No, I think the real Eden Fox is dead. I found her keychain on the cliff. What are you talking about? I think Mary was pretending to be Eden Fox. I think the woman I arrested who said that her husband changed the locks when she was out for a run was the real Eden Fox and was telling the truth. I think Mary pretended to be her when she befriended people in the village. I think Mary was pretending to be her at the art gallery. I think Mary was pretending to be her husband's wife, and that Harrison went along with it. Let me get this straight. You think there was more than one wife? Yes, and that Harrison and Mary pretended Mary was Eden? Yes. If that's the case, where's the real Eden Fox? They killed her or tricked her into killing herself. I think she's who we found on the beach. And it's only a matter of time until the coroner confirms it, Carter says, looking exceedingly proud of himself. And I think maybe he should be, but why? I haven't figured that out yet. He says, perhaps we could brainstorm. I think Carter's version of a brainstorm would be more like a light drizzle, but he's on to something, I'm sure of it. Even if his theory is a smidgen far-fetched. You do know what you're suggesting. Sounds batshit, I ask, and he nods. But it's also good police work. You've shown initiative, and you trusted your instincts and you followed your gut. Well done, Carter. Perhaps we'll make a detective out of you yet. If he were a dog, he'd be wagging his tail. Thanks. Boss, what do we do now? I paused to think for a moment, remembering why I came to Hope Falls. Most people might have used the time to say goodbye to loved ones or kept themselves busy crossing things off their bucket lists, but I just want to do what I'm best at while I still can. Getting justice for people who can't get it for themselves, putting wrongs right. And there's something very wrong about all of this. Well, after what you found out at the manor, we clearly need to find Mary, but before we do that, we need to take all of this to Harrison. I tell Carter. Really? Yes, we need to question him. Again in the morning. No, right now. Tonight. 53, Harrison. I have to deal with this situation. Tonight, Carter has caused more problems than I could ever have predicted. He seemed like a pushover when I first met him, someone desperate to please, but without the skill set to do so. But he's been asking too many of the right questions, which can sometimes result in the wrong answers. How dare he judge me? I know what he did and what he wanted to do. The boy cop is a hypocrite and a liability. I fear being suspended might not be enough to shut him up, but hopefully it will slow him down long enough for me to finish what I started. As soon as I'm back inside the house, I think I see Eden. I hurry to the library, push the books to one side, and pull the concealed lever. I slide the bookcases apart and open the secret door. She isn't there. A book falls to the floor, making me jump, a battered old copy of Frankenstein. So I pick it up and put it back on the shelf. I fear the stress and lack of sleep caused by this whole sordid affair is starting to get to me. I've heard strange rumors about the old woman who lived here before us. They say she died twice, that she came back to life and back to Spyglass after her family buried her. The story gives me the creeps, and now I'm scared Eden will reappear too like a ghost, even though no, there is no such thing. Once you're dead, you're dead. Onward, as my wife liked to say whenever life took a wrong turn. I'll leave tonight. That wasn't the original plan, but it's for the best. There are too many eyes on me now. So I hurry out of the library and up to the bedroom and start packing too. Suitcases, one for me, one for her. Then I find the passports in the cache I stashed away, for if things didn't go the way we hoped, a good plan B is the secret to success. I wish I had more time, but time is never on anyone's side, and no amount of money can chain that. Mary sends me a text message on the phone I use only for her. I told her not to contact me for a few days, but clearly Carter, turning up at the manor, has properly spooked her. To be fair, it spooked me too. I quickly text her back to say, stick to the new plan, and I hope she does as I ask. There is still a way to steer this back on track if I can just quiet my mind and think. I'm smarter than all of these people. I built Thanos from nothing, so I can fix this. But now Mary, who has always seemed so calm and collected, has started sounding more and more like my real wife, which is far from ideal. I could do without any additional crazy right now. At least she isn't planning on coming back here. That really would be a disaster. My phone buzzes again and again, but I ignore it and keep packing. I regret that when I do eventually pick it up and read Mary's latest messages. I need to see you. Why won't you reply? I can't do this on my own. I'm coming back to Hope Falls. I dial Mary's number, but it goes Straight to voicemail. She cannot come back here now that the police are asking too many questions. And now that Carter knows Mary is called. Marian works at the manor. Mary must never be seen here ever again. Nobody was supposed to see Eden running up to the suicide spot. She was supposed to get there before dawn. Nobody was supposed to find her car abandoned in the national park. Nobody was supposed to suspect a thing. Eden was just meant to disappear, and nobody was supposed to notice because everyone in Hope Falls thought Mary was my wife, not a care assistant being paid to impersonate her. But now with all this attention, the best thing to do is run. They all believed that Mary was Eden. Even Sergeant Carter, when he kissed her in the police station, it filled me with a variety of jealousy I had forgotten I could feel, but at least Mary told me the truth. She said it only lasted a few seconds before she politely pushed him away. It was that moment, him kissing her, which made me realize how I truly felt. Mary and I had hit it off as soon as we met at the manor. She's clever and cunning, and I find that so damn sexy. She's also a fantastic actress for someone who has worked in the care industry all her life, and most important of all, she fixed my little girl, the only person who could. Seeing how Mary helped Gabriella made me see what a fool I had been staying with Eden all these years. I don't just want Mary to take care of my daughter anymore. I want her to take care of me. I think we should be a family, but we can't do that here now. Carter has ruined everything. He's as clumsy as a pig on ice, but he's smarter than I thought. Since the Hillies spotted Mary at the manor, I can tell he's not going to let this go, and he's not going to go away, so we have to before anyone gets closer to the truth. Which also means Mary must never come back to Hope Falls. Now if she does and someone sees her, I could lose everything and everyone I've ever loved. I'm never going to let that happen. 54. Carter. I don't know how I let this happen. DCI. Bird being in the same room as my wife was more than just uncomfortable. I'm not looking forward to seeing Harrison Wolf again either. I know too much about him now, and I worry about him knowing too much about me. Sometimes it is better to fly under the radar of people who think they are powerful. They can be even more dangerous than powerful people. Dinner with my boss and my wife was a disaster, and I feel nothing but relief when Jane starts clearing our plates from the table. That was delicious. Thank you. Bird lies. We're going out for a bit, I tell Jane. Are you two going to join the Day of the Dead parade? She asks. Yes, Bird replies. Before I can answer, can't wait. I'm glad she doesn't tell her we're working. I'm already in the doghouse for working late last night. The parade will be fun. I'm jealous I can't join you. I would if it weren't for the little upstairs. It was lovely to meet you, Jane says. Likewise, won't be late, I tell her as we head out the door. The festival is well underway, and the torch-lit procession through the village is approaching my house just as we leave. It's quite something to see, and we join the crowd, weaving our way through a sea of people in fancy dress. As is tradition, the majority are wearing skeleton costumes with elaborate face paint or masks, but there are a few smugglers and a couple of mermaids, too. Most festival goers look like they've had a drink or three already, and with almost all of them carrying a flaming torch. It looks like a scene from a horror film. When we pass the smugglers inn, I'm surprised to see the pub is in darkness. It's normally the busiest night of the year. Why is a pub closed so early? Bird asks, shouting to be Heard above the merry mob making there. Way along the street, not sure might. Text Maddie, check she's okay, I reply. Before sending a quick message to my sister, maybe she's in the crowd, you'd never know, Bird says. She's right, everyone is in costume and most people are wearing masks when the rest of the procession snakes around the street towards the coast path. The two of us take the lane that leads up the hill to Spyglass instead. I feel anxious for so many reasons when we reach Harrison's house, and I stop on the lane a short distance away before going in. The lights are on, I'm sure. He's inside. What's wrong? Bird asks. That's Mary's car, I tell her, staring at the red Mini parked on the driveway. You're sure she almost ran me over with it earlier? So, yes, but now that we're here I'm feeling unsure about everything. What if my theories about all of this are as crazy as they sound? Why would a man pretend that a woman was his wife if she wasn't? And seeing her car here parked outside Spyglass, I say, what? Spit it out. Well, your grandmother's carer, the one nobody ever saw, always parked a red Mini outside this house. That's how I knew someone was here taking care of old Mrs. Bird. You think Mary used to be my grandmother's living carer and now works at the manor, looking after the new owner of Spyglass's daughter? That would be a bit of a mad coincidence. Well, there's no such thing. You taught me that. Before she can answer, the front door swings open and Diana Harris from the art gallery strolls out. The door closes behind her, and she smiles to herself as she walks toward us. We're standing in the shadows, and she doesn't see us straight away. Oh my goodness, you scared me, she says. When she does, why are you here? We could ask you the same question, I say. Have they confirmed the body was eaten? That poor man, I just dropped off one of my special homemade casseroles. Perhaps I should stay, be on hand to offer him some comfort after you have broken the news. A man like that shouldn't be on his own at a time like this. That's very thoughtful, but we don't know for sure that the body is eaten yet. Mrs. Harris barely hides her disappointment. That lovely man has been through so much. I just want to let him know that we are all here for him, if there is anything he needs, anything at all. We've got this, Mrs. Harris, but thank you. Bird says, you have a good night. Now, she waits until Diana takes the hint and has waddled away down the lane and out of earshot before adding, that's right, off you. Are you sure we should be doing this? I whisper when we reach the front door. With its fox head knocker, I used to hate the fact that nothing ever happened in Hope Falls. Now I wish it never had. I miss the quiet life. What if I'm wrong? Harrison Wolfe is a powerful man. He already tried to have me fired, tried, and failed in Poppycock. You can't be afraid of people like him. Nobody is above the law. I don't care how rich or successful they are. After what you show me tonight, I think we can safely say that Harrison has been lying from the start. Why a person lies is almost always more interesting than the lie itself. That's what we need to find out. Now, why? This is the right thing to do. And you did good. I'm proud of you. She says it feels like my favorite teacher gave me a gold star. It's also the first kind thing she has said to me, which might be why it sounds strange, like when people take the time to learn a foreign language but mess up the accent. Thank you, DCI Bird. That means a lot to me. Call me Berthie for God's sake, and don't start getting sentimental. Let's get the job done and arrest this, she says, sounding far more like herself. The door opens almost as soon as she knocks on it. I thought he was suspended. Harrison says when he sees us. Standing there, he looks at me as though I were a piece of on his handmade. Shoo, can we come in? Bird asks. This isn't a good time. I notice the extra car on the driveway, bit late for visitors. They appear to have a silent starring contest, but Harrison is the first to look away. Perhaps it's best if you speak to my solicitor from now on. He says, I think it might be better for you if we came inside. We know that someone called Mary Kendall was impersonating your wife. We know she works as a care assistant at the manor where your daughter lives, and we know you went along with it. Sergeant Carter has uncovered a sufficient amount of evidence to arrest you. We can talk inside the house, or we can take you to the station. Your call, Bird says, and he stares at her without saying anything, as though he is buying some time, thinking, amending his plans. Have it your way, he says to her, then turns to me. For the record, you're wrong about everything, but you better come in. A voice inside my head screams not to. Everything about this situation feels off. 1 minute, Harrison is insisting we speak to his solicitor, then he just invites us into the house. This doesn't feel right or sensible or safe, but I don't know how to tell Bird that without sounding like a wimp. I think I finally earned her respect. I don't want to lose it now. We follow Harrison down the dimly lit hall towards the kitchen at the back of the house. And I wonder why the lights are turned down so low. Spyglass feels cold and damp tonight, as if the heating has been switched off, as though nobody really lives here. Bird walked ahead of me, and I feel bad about all the lies I've told her. I used to hate this house, but now I realize I just hated the woman who owned it. Bird's grandmother, the woman who died twice, ruined my family's life when she decided to sell the pub. She owned both properties. Spyglass and the Smuggler's Inn had been in her family for over a century, just the luck of being born rich rather than a result of any hard work on her part. There have always been rumors that the Bird family arrived in this village at the same time the Serendipity washed up on Blackwater Bay, and that all their wealth was a result of stolen gold. That woman never worked a day in her life, and her greed cost my family everything. Nothing has been the same since. When Mom was diagnosed with cancer, I was convinced she got ill as a result of the stress of losing her home and her business. Old Mrs. Bird said she was forced to sell the pub to the brewery to pay for her living career. She told my parents via her solicitor that she had run out of money and that she had to sell Spyglass or the pub to pay for her care. She said that Spyglass was her home, so she could never sell it, but didn't seem to mind selling ours. I tried to talk to her myself, but she wouldn't even open the front door. She said she didn't have a choice about selling the pub. But life is all about choices. I guess sometimes so is death. Old Mrs. Bird made the wrong choice. Then she died. I hear a kettle boiling in the kitchen, and it sounds like screaming when I spot 2 suitcases at the bottom of the stairs. The alarm bells inside my head only ring louder. Was Harrison just about to do a runner? My phone buzzes inside my pocket, causing a temporary distraction. I wouldn't normally check it at a time like this, but the only person who tends to text me late at night is my wife, and since Stir was born, I'm always anxious to know that my daughter is safe. Maybe turn your phone off if it is going to keep beeping and buzzing, Bird says with her usual disdain for technology. I switch it to silent before opening the message. It isn't Jane texting, and it isn't a number I recognize. I see a Message from the coroner's office and my eyes can't read the words fast enough. It's the team trying to identify the body on the beach, I say. They both stop and turn to stare at me. Well, Harrison asks, is it my wife? Don't answer. Carter, are you okay? Bird asks. Her patience soon expires when I still don't reply. For sake, Carter, do you have the results or not? 55. Birdie. The results are inconclusive. Carter says, staring down at his screen. What does that mean? Harrison asks. Let me see that, I say, taking the phone from Carter and reading the message. According to the coroner's report, they cannot confirm that the victim was Eden. They have requested and are still waiting for dental records, but they say the DNA sample from the missing woman's hairbrush is not a match with the victim. Well, I guess there's no need for your little visit now, Harrison says, looking a bit too pleased with himself. Thanks for popping in, but you can't arrest me for killing my wife if she isn't dead. And if they can't identify the body, just because they haven't yet doesn't mean they won't. Carter says, you just can't let it go, can you? Harrison replies, there's still dental records. Good luck with that. She didn't have any teeth left. How do you know? Carter asks. That's a very good point, but I've grown weary of this show. Where is Mary, Mr. Wolf? I ask, and they both turn to stare at me as though they had forgotten I was here. Forget about Mary. I think we should arrest him. He's practically confessed. Look at the suitcases in the hallway. He was about to do a runner. Carter says. The two of them go at it again. You think you've got it all figured out, don't you? Harrison responds with an unkind smile. You don't know, you pathetic little prick. You should be more careful. You might be dead soon too. It happens to someone somewhere every day. Every hour, every minute, every second. Perhaps you would like to continue this conversation at the station. I'd rather slam my penis in a car door. Why must men behave like men? Let's just all take a breath and take a step back, I say, trying to calm things down, but Harrison is having none of it. Look at you, Sergeant Carter, playing dress up like the rest of the losers in this village tonight, except your costume is a police uniform, Sergeant. Cock-up would be a better fit. Wearing a badge doesn't make you an upstanding member of the community. How dare you come into my home judging me? You're a hypocrite, and you should learn to keep your dick in your pants, walking around like you matter. You're nobody. You're nothing. And you're a gold-plated, Carter says, if you won't tell us the truth about your wife, maybe we should arrest your freak of a daughter and question her again instead, he says, and Harrison launches himself at him. Carter is the younger and fitter of the two men and dodges out of the way. I put myself between them, trying to keep them apart, wondering what I'm doing here and how it came to this. That's enough, both of you. Harrison Wolf, I'm arresting you for intimidating a police officer and withholding evidence from a police investigation. You do not have to say anything, but it may harm your defense if you do not mention when questioned. Is this a joke? Harrison roars. Do I look like I'm laughing? I say, taking out my handcuffs. He stares at them, then at me, and regains his composure. You don't need those. I'm sorry, he says, sounding like a smaller version of himself. Defeated. Deflated. There isn't anything I wouldn't do for my daughter. It's exactly what Carter said about his own child earlier. Tonight, the two men have more in common than I think either of them realize. I catch Carter smiling. Wait outside, I tell him, but Nothing. You almost jeopardized this entire investigation with your misconduct. Again. I'm calling it in, and I'm calling for backup. Wait outside. 56. Harrison. Carter goes outside, but insists on standing on the bloody doorstep as though guarding the front door, which he has refused to close. Every now and then he turns to look through the crack at us as though he thinks I might be about to attack his boss. I've realized tonight and too late that the boy cop isn't as dumb as I thought, and DCI Bird isn't as smart. You can't arrest me, I tell her. Take these bloody cuffs off. No, she says calmly, but then she grimaces as though she might be in pain, and I remember how ill she is. Thanos told her how little time she has left, and this is how she chooses to spend it in hope. Falls, it isn't what I would have done. In her situation, she's a beautiful woman. The clothes, the tweed jacket, and sensible shoes don't do her any favors. But the plaited hair is a nice touch. I almost feel sorry for her as she paces up and down the hallway trying to put the remaining pieces of the puzzle together, trying to make them all fit. They do not make a pretty picture. Unlike the one of my daughter in the hall, it's an old photo. I only just put it up. It hides where one of Eden used to be. Gabriella was 8 when it was taken, just before her accident. I see the detective stop and stare at the picture as though she has just seen a ghost, because she recognizes my little girl, just like I knew she would. 57. Birdie. I knew coming back to Hope Falls might be challenging in all sorts of ways, but I could never have predicted how things have unfolded since I arrived. I've made a huge mistake coming here. I stare at the picture of Gabriella Wolf. When she was a little girl, this picture was not on this wall the last time I was in this house. I recognize her straight away. The worst night of my life happened when I was a junior detective. I'd just been promoted and was having a few drinks with my colleagues to celebrate when I got the call. I was as obsessed with my work back then as I am now, but even hungrier for success. I wanted to be the youngest DCI in the country, and I wanted to be the best. Most dreams come with expiration dates. If you don't chase them soon enough, they'll be out of reach forever. I chased mine until I caught them, but everyone drops everything when a child goes missing. It's just what you do. Doesn't matter who you are, where you are, or what time it is. Everything stops until they are found. She was only 8 years old. Every police officer in the area was alerted to her disappearance. But I was the first one on the scene. It's a common misconception that the initial 48 hours are the most critical when a child goes missing, but that's a lie. If it has taken that long to find them, chances are they're already dead. I drove faster than I should because time is the most important factor in finding a missing child alive. I knew I was over the limit, but not by much, and I felt sober enough to do what needed to be done. I couldn't bear the thought of something happening to that child because I wasn't there to do my job. I remember getting the call that Gabriella was missing. I remember the rain so heavy it seemed to be falling up as well as down. I remember how cold and dark it was that night and thinking that no child should have been out alone. I remember how the siren sounded louder than normal, more urgent, the blue light on top of my car, casting an eerie glow on the shiny wet road ahead. It seemed to scream at the world to get the out of my way. I remember all of it. My phone rang just as I turned into the street where Gabriella lived. I had to answer it because of who was calling. My eyes were off the road for a second. Maybe 2, no more than that. When I looked up, I hit the brakes, but I was too slow and it was too late. The bike was already under the car and Gabriella was there on the road in front of me. She looked like a broken doll. I guess that the impact must have knocked her off the bike and tossed her into the air. I stared at the scene. I couldn't move. I felt like I couldn't breathe. Everything was silent and still except for the flashing blue light, as though time had actually stopped. Gabriella was in a coma for months. I thought I'd killed her. I couldn't even visit the hospital she was in or her. How sorry I was. Her father looked at me with nothing but hatred in his eyes when I tried to visit the ward, so I stayed away. I never forgave myself. I didn't drive a car or drink alcohol ever again after that day. I became a recluse, transferred to a new police force, and focus on the job I was lucky to keep. I lost my family and my friends because I couldn't stand the way they looked at me after what happened. It was the same way I looked at myself whenever I saw a mirror. 10 years ago, I made the biggest mistake I'll ever make, and I'm still paying for it. I recognize the photo of Gabriella in the hallway. There is no such thing as coincidence. Harrison knows who I am and what I did 10 years ago. Me being here now is no accident, and I think I might be in trouble. 58. Carter. I know I'm in trouble again, but I can't believe DCI Bird made me wait outside. Harrison is dangerous, I'm certain of that now. She shouldn't be alone with him, but she's the boss. From spy glasses, I can see the whole village. Down below, Blackmore National Park is shrouded in darkness on one side, and a moon-stained Cornish coast on the other. The view from up here stretches all the way to Blackwater Bay, and it's beautiful. I can see a blanket of fog on the horizon, rolling in from the Atlantic. As it often does, I can even see the bonfire on the beach, the final act of the Hope Falls Day of the Dead parade. I've missed the festival this year, but I'm just glad today is almost over. I can see my house from up here, too. And I wish I was there instead of here. I long to be at home and in the warmth. Right now with Jane and Strennan, it's a simple life, but it's a good one. And my daughter is a miracle. I still can't believe we made a tiny, precious, perfect human, or that she's really ours. I love her so much it honestly hurts. Sometimes, I can't wait to see who she's going to be, and I'd do anything to keep her safe. Anything. It's quiet up here, almost completely silent, except for the sound of the sea. In the distance, it's like a soothing lullaby, and despite the adrenaline rush, just now I'm very tired. I haven't really slept since DCI Bird showed up. And I'll be glad when this is all over and life can return to my version of normal. I look down at the smugglers in my old family home in the middle of the village. There is something very odd about the lights being off in the pub, being in darkness on festival night, and there is still no reply from Maddie, so I take my phone out to try her again. It's even later than I thought, almost midnight, and I see that I've missed a call from Jane. It's too late to call back now. I don't want to wait the baby. And I kick myself for putting the phone on silent earlier. Nothing matters more than family. There is a message as well as a missed call, but it's not from my wife or my sister. It's from my old pal at HQ, the one I got in contact with earlier to find out if DCI Bird could really suspend me. His reply isn't relevant anymore, given I'm not suspended, but something about the start of the message catches my eye, and I open it. Carter, long time no speak. DCI Olivia. Bird can't suspend you. She doesn't work for the police anymore. took early retirement from her job in London a few months ago. HQ are still looking for a detective to work in your patch. No one except you has even applied. Nobody wants the job. You okay, mate? I stare at the screen and read the message again. Then I turn to stare at the house behind me. I am definitely not okay. 59. Birdie. November 2nd. Nothing about this situation feels okay anymore. Harrison sees me staring at the photo of Gabriella. Before he or I can say anything, the alarm I set on my phone goes off. Music and bell. It's midnight, which means it is now the 2nd of November. For a lot of people, that means it is All Souls Day. First comes Halloween, then the Day of the Dead, then All Souls Day, a time to remember family members who have died. It means something else to me this year. I remember the letter I got from Thanos, the one that set all of this in motion. It's not the sort of news anyone would forget. Music. Thank you for joining the Thanos family. You'll find your date of death confirmed. Music below. Olivia Bird, November 2nd, 2025. We all have a right to know when our last day will be, and now you can live your best life every day until the day you die. Music. And make any arrangements with peace of mind. Do be sure to contact us if music, you need any further information. At the number below, we wish you a happy death day. Terms and conditions apply. Today is my death day, and I'm terrified. 60 Carter. I'm not scared of DCI Bird anymore. According to the text I just read, she isn't even my boss. I don't know what is going on here, but I hurry back inside. Spyglass to find out. There is no sign of Bird or Harrison Wolf anywhere. They're not in the hallway where I left them. They're not in the kitchen. I run up the staircase 2 steps at a time. But it's the same story. I don't understand. It's as though they've just vanished. The message from HQ said that DCI Bird never got the detective job in Hope Falls, that she didn't even apply for it. At first I thought that must be a mistake, but then I replayed the last few days in my mind. I remember getting a random call from someone I'd never heard of saying a new detective was starting the next day. When I asked who, they said it hadn't been formally announced yet, and that they needed to inform all the unsuccessful candidates, including me, before saying who had got the job. Standard procedure, they said. But the more I think about it, nothing about any of this has been standard. When DCI Bird turned up out of the blue and told me she was my new boss, I didn't question it. Anyone who works for the police knows that communication is not the force's strong point, and I'm so far down the food chain, I rarely hear about anything until after it has happened, so it didn't surprise me one little bit that I hadn't been fully informed about who was taking over my patch. Everything I subsequently read about DCI Bird said she was a high-ranking and highly decorated detective in London before she came here. She didn't make that up, but was everything else she told me a lie? And if so, why? My heart is thurring so loudly I can hear it in my ears. Then I hear something else. The sound came from the back of the house, so I sprint downstairs to the little library, but it's empty. There is nobody here. It looks like a book just randomly fell off a shelf and landed on the floor. When I pick it up, I see that it is Frankenstein, the same book old Mrs. Bird was reading when she died. DCI Bird went on about this room when we were here before. Something to do with an ancient covenant. And the floor tossling bookcases. I take a closer look and see a gap between Them, I slide my fingers into it and I'm gobsmacked when I discover I can push the bookcases apart. I'm even more stunned when I see a secret door. It looks like the entrance to a tunnel. I get closer, cautious about who or what might be waiting for me, but I don't find out because as soon as I step inside, I feel a sharp blow to my head. My vision blurs, I'm unsteady on my feet, and I fall to the floor. Seconds later, my world fades to black. 61, clears throat Harrison. The future is looking a lot brighter all of a sudden, I heave the suitcases into the trunk of the Mini. One is much heavier than the other, and I have to shove them hard to make them fit. Then I squeeze myself into the driver's seat, wishing I could take my own car to the airport instead. I can't because the police might be looking for it, and with cameras everywhere these days checking license plates, they could find me in no time, but I'm going to miss my Porsche. Eden was upset when I bought what she called my midlife crisis car without talking to her first, but I earned it. Along with everything else I own, I worked bloody hard for all of it, and I won't let the countless sacrifices I have made be for nothing. I turn on the engine and pull out of the driveway. Few minutes later, I'm on the winding country lanes that are like veins throughout Blackmore National Park. There are no street lights, and it couldn't be any darker tonight. The car's headlamps struggle to light the way in the thick mist that seems to have descended over the whole area. What I wouldn't give for a decent stretch of road right now. I should be driving in the other direction toward London, Heathrow, and my ticket out of here. But there is just one more thing I need to do. Death comes for us all, but we waste time wondering why instead of when. Finding out how young I might die made me question everything about the life I had lived, all the highs, the lows, the regrets. I have been addicted to ambition my whole life, working but not living. My eyes fixed on a lonely prize, because that's all success really is. It's all it can ever be. There are winners in life and there are losers. Nobody ever remembers the runner-up. I thought my work was my greatest achievement, but then life held up a mirror, and I finally saw all my mistakes. My wife was my biggest regret. My daughter was my best accomplishment, and yet I had let her down over and over again. I don't know how I managed to miss seeing that for so long. I realized that all that really mattered to me was my daughter. Everything else had always been about and for her, and yet I'd let them lock her up in a glorified prison